The mining moon called Drelva 9 was cold, dusty and full of noise from machines. Humans and aliens worked there together, digging deep for rare minerals. Leo, a human mechanic, had been working there for over 3 years. He liked being alone, fixing broken loaders and keeping things running. He didn't talk much. People called him quiet, even strange. One evening, when his shift ended, Leo sat outside his storage shed, sipping recycled coffee. Suddenly, his comlink beeped. A weak, distress signal echoed from the outer canyon. It wasn't coming from a registered miner or transport ship. Most workers ignored it. Drelva 9 was not a place where people cared much. But Leo stood up, grabbed his toolkit, and took his hoverbike into the canyon. The ride was bumpy and quiet. The wind blew sand into his face and the signal grew stronger. Then he saw it, a small shuttle half buried under red rock. Its hull was cracked and smoke leaked out. It had crashed hard. Leo carefully walked toward it. His boots crunched the broken glass and metal pieces. "Is anyone alive?" Leo shouted, scanning with a handheld sensor. He heard a sound, soft and scared, like a cry. Inside the wreck, he found a small figure curled under a bent metal panel. It was a young alien girl. Her skin was a soft blue and her eyes shimmered like silver. She looked no older than 8 or 9. She was shaking and had a deep cut on her arm. "It's okay," Leo said gently. "I'm not going to hurt you." The girl looked at him with wide eyes. She didn't speak, but slowly reached out her hand. Leo wrapped her in his jacket and carried her out of the shuttle. She was light, almost too light. Back on his bike, he drove straight to his workshop. He didn't trust the medical units in the mining base. Too many questions, too much paperwork. He cleaned her wound with care, wrapped it in a bandage, and gave her some water. "What's your name?" he asked. She whispered something he didn't understand. Her voice was soft, but the words sounded like Tira. "Tira," Leo repeated. She nodded. For the next few hours, Tira sat quietly on a blanket near his heating unit. She didn't cry. She didn't ask for food. She just stared at the walls and sometimes looked at him with those big silver eyes. Leo found her behavior strange. Most kids would be scared or crying, but Tira seemed calm, like she had been trained to stay quiet in danger. Later that night, Leo checked the crash site again. He scanned for identity tags, but nothing showed up. No ship registry, no passenger logs. It was like the shuttle didn't exist. That made him nervous. Someone was hiding something. And now he had a child in his care who might be involved in something big. But Leo didn't report her. He didn't tell the mining authorities or the security guards. He just looked at her sleeping peacefully on the blanket and thought, whatever trouble she's in, I won't let them take her. He didn't know her story. He didn't know what she had lost or why she was there. But one thing was clear. Tira wasn't just any alien child. And soon, Leo would learn that saving her would change his quiet life forever. The next morning on Drelva 9 was as normal as any other. Machines roared, workers shouted, and the thick air smelled of oil and dust. But inside Leo's workshop, things were different. The little alien girl, Tira, was still asleep, wrapped in a blanket beside the heater. Her soft breathing was the only sound in the room. Leo sat nearby, cleaning a damaged drone arm, but his eyes kept drifting toward her. He didn't understand why he felt so protective. Maybe it was because she looked so lost, so alone. Suddenly, the calm was broken. A loud knock echoed through the metal walls. Leo stood up quickly. No one ever visited his place unless something was wrong. He opened the door and found 2 tall figures in dark armor standing outside. They weren't from the mining company. Their armor was black with red symbols, and they wore helmets that covered their faces. "We're looking for someone," one of them said in a deep, flat voice. "There was a crash in Sector 7 last night. Did you see anything unusual?" Leo forced a calm expression. "No. I was working late. Didn't notice anything." The second soldier looked past Leo into the dark room. "We are conducting a full sweep of the area. If you see anything, or anyone, report it immediately. They handed him a small metal card and walked away. Leo shut the door, locked it, and leaned against the wall. His heart pounded. Whoever these people were, they were not simple searchers. And they were definitely looking for Tira. He turned to her. She was awake now, sitting silently, watching him. She must have heard everything. Do you know them? He asked softly. She nodded slowly, fear clear in her silver eyes. Why are they after you? Tira didn't speak. Instead, she reached into the collar of her shirt and pulled out a small pendant. It was round, shiny, and had strange, glowing lines across it. Leo had never seen anything like it. She held it tightly in her hand as if it was the only thing she had left. Okay, Leo whispered, kneeling beside her. You don't have to talk yet, but I need to keep you hidden. For the rest of the day, Leo made changes to his workshop. He turned an old storage unit into a hidden space, lined it with heat blockers to hide her from scanners. He taught her how to stay quiet and showed her where to hide if someone came again. Later, Leo walked into town to check the newsfeed. The crash wasn't even mentioned, but rumors were flying about patrols, about secret visitors from another world, and about someone important gone missing. Back in his workshop, Leo sat beside Tira and handed her a warm cup of broth. You're not just a lost child, are you? He asked gently. She looked up at him. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered something. Bad people took my home, she said. They want to stop me. Forever. Leo didn't ask more. He just nodded. Whatever this child had seen, it was too much for someone her age. Outside, the patrols continued. More black-armored strangers landed in hidden crafts, but Leo had made his choice. He would protect Tira, even if it meant putting himself in danger. What he didn't know yet was that she carried something far more powerful than a name or a secret. She carried the future of a kingdom. For the next 2 days, Leo did everything to keep Tira safe. He gave her food, kept her hidden from visitors, and even played music to help her feel calm. Slowly, she started to trust him more. She didn't speak much, but she stayed close to him, watching every move he made. Late one night, while Leo was fixing a power core, he heard a soft hum behind him. He turned and saw a strange light coming from the corner. Tira was sitting with her small pendant in her hands. This time it was glowing brighter than ever before. Tira? He said carefully. What's that thing? She looked at him, hesitated, then placed the pendant on the floor between them. The light grew stronger until it filled the room. Then a hologram appeared, floating above the pendant. Leo stepped back in surprise. The image showed a tall, elegant alien woman and a strong-looking man standing in a grand room. They wore royal robes and crowns on their heads. Behind them was a massive symbol, one Leo remembered seeing long ago on interstellar news. The crest of the Valari royal house. The woman spoke in a soft, noble voice. If you are seeing this, she said, then our daughter is alone. My name is Queen Elvira of Valaria. Our home is under attack. We do not know if we will survive, but our daughter, Tira, must live. She is the last of the royal bloodline. Protect her. Help her return. She is more than a child. She is our future. The hologram faded and the room went quiet. Leo couldn't move for a moment. His hands were shaking. A princess? He whispered, staring at the small girl. Tira looked down. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. She simply nodded. Leo sat down, his heart pounding. He had saved a royal child, and now he was hiding her from people who wanted to take her, or worse. He thought back to the soldiers who had come to his door. They weren't just searching for a missing person. They were hunting the heir of a fallen kingdom. He looked at Tira again, trying to imagine the pressure she must be feeling. How long have you been running? He asked gently. Since the palace fell, she whispered. They told me to escape. I was sent away in the shuttle. Did anyone come with you? She shook her head. The pilot died when we crashed. You found me. Leo rubbed his forehead. This wasn't what he had expected when he picked her up from the wreckage. He was just a mechanic. He fixed broken machines, not political problems. But looking at Tira, he knew one thing. He couldn't turn his back now. All right, he said finally. I guess I'm helping a princess now. Tira gave a small smile, the first real one he had seen. That night, Leo didn't sleep. He stayed up planning. If she really was the heir to a royal house, she needed more than just hiding. She needed a way home and someone brave enough to take her there. Outside, more ships landed in secret, and whispers spread across the mining colony. But inside that small workshop, a quiet promise was made. Leo would protect her, not just because she was a princess, but because she was a child who still believed in hope. The morning air on Drelva 9 was dry and still, but Leo's heart beat faster than ever. Now he understood why strangers were searching the moon. They wanted Tira, the lost princess of Valeria, and they would not stop until they found her. Leo stood at the edge of the canyon looking out over the colony. Cargo ships came and went, workers moved like ants, and patrols quietly watched from shadows. He knew it wouldn't be long before someone figured out where she was. Back in his workshop, Tira was sitting near the heater, holding her pendant. She looked up as Leo walked in. We can't stay here, Leo said. They'll come back. Tira nodded. She seemed calmer now, as if her secret being known gave her strength. Leo opened a hidden locker and pulled out a small case. Inside was a chipped ID card, a blaster he hadn't used in years, and a worn-out flight badge. I used to fly ships, he said. Before this job, before this place. Maybe it's time I do it again. You want to take me home? Tira asked softly. Leo knelt beside her. If I can help you reach someone loyal to your family, they might be able to protect you, but it won't be easy, and it won't be safe. I'm not afraid, she said. Leo smiled. Then let's get moving. Before they could leave, the ground outside shook. A loud bang echoed through the colony. Leo peeked out and saw smoke rising from the docking bay. Someone had attacked a security post. Then he saw them, black armored figures moving through the crowds. This was no normal search. They're spreading out, he muttered. They're coming for you, Tira. He quickly led her through a secret tunnel behind his workshop. It was an old maintenance path that led to the lower hangars, where abandoned ships were stored. Leo had worked on some of them before. He hoped one would still fly. They moved fast, careful to avoid guards and patrols. Tira stayed close, quiet, and alert. Despite her young age, she followed every step and instruction. When they reached the hangar, Leo spotted a rusty cargo shuttle in the corner. It was an old model but strong. I worked on this one last year, Leo said. It's ugly, but it might still work. He powered it up. The engines coughed and shook, but the lights came on. The shuttle was alive. Get in, Leo said, motioning Tira inside. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed open. 2 soldiers stepped in, weapons drawn. Hands up, one shouted. Leo grabbed a metal pipe from the floor. Run, Tira, he shouted. Tira climbed into the shuttle while Leo blocked the soldiers. One fired, missing by inches. Leo swung the pipe, knocking one back. The second fired again, grazing Leo's shoulder. He shouted in pain but kept fighting. Inside the shuttle, Tira reached the control panel. She remembered something her parents taught her long ago, how to trigger emergency liftoff. She pressed the sequence. The engines roared. Leo dived inside, just as the shuttle lifted off. The hangar doors burst open as the small ship blasted into the sky. They were flying. Leo held his shoulder, breathing hard. You started the ship? Tira looked proud. I remembered. Leo smiled despite the pain. Looks like you really are royalty. As the stars stretched before them, Tira leaned against the wall, tired but safe. For now, they had escaped. But the journey was far from over. The shuttle flew through space, shaking now and then, but it stayed on course. Leo sat in the pilot's seat, breathing slowly. His shoulder was bandaged with a clean cloth from the storage box, and Tira sat beside him, watching the stars. "Made it," she whispered. "Not yet," Leo replied. "We're far from safe." He checked the ship's systems. Fuel was low, shields were weak. The navigation wasn't working properly, but he could still steer. They needed a place to land, rest and repair. But they also had to stay hidden. The ones chasing them had resources, ships and eyes everywhere. "We'll head toward the Juno Belt," Leo said. "It's full of asteroid fields and abandoned stations. We can lose them there." Tira nodded, then looked at the stars with quiet wonder. "I used to see the stars from my palace window. They looked peaceful. Now, they feel different." Leo glanced at her. "You miss your home?" She nodded. "I miss my mother's voice. I miss my garden. I miss the songs we sang at night." Leo didn't know what to say. He wasn't good with feelings, but he understood pain, and he understood what it meant to lose everything. "You're strong," he said simply. "You didn't give up. That means something." The moment was quiet until a warning light blinked on the screen. Leo leaned forward. "Trouble," he muttered. A ship was approaching, fast. Not a trader, not a miner. It was a black cruiser with no signals, no calls. It was them. "They followed us?" Tira asked, eyes wide. "Maybe they tracked the old shuttle ID," Leo said. "Hang on." He pulled the ship into a dive, flying low through a thick meteor belt. Space rocks floated everywhere. One wrong move, and they'd be torn apart. The cruiser fired. A blast hit their back engines, shaking the shuttle hard. "We're hit," Leo shouted. Sparks flew from a panel, but he kept control. Tira gripped her seat tightly. "Can we make it?" Leo didn't answer. He focused, weaving between floating rocks, turning at the last second, dodging blasts. Then he saw it. A large piece of broken space station hidden inside the asteroid belt. It looked old and dead, but it had a docking ring. "We're landing there," Leo said. The shuttle slid through the narrow gap and locked into place. The cruiser couldn't follow. It was too big. They quickly powered down, hiding their heat signature. Inside the old station, it was dark and cold. Dust floated in the air, but it was quiet. Safe, for now. Leo checked the damage. "We'll need a few hours to fix this." Tira helped him find tools. Even though she was small, she handed him wires and held lights. She wanted to help, to be useful. Leo noticed. "You learn fast," he said. She smiled. "My father used to say, a princess must know more than just rules. She must know how to survive." Leo looked at her. "Your father was right." As they worked, a small signal came from Tira's pendant. It beeped once and showed a new light. A location. Leo leaned closer. "Is that a safe place?" Tira looked at it and nodded. "It's a contact. Someone loyal to my family. We need to go there." Leo stared at the map. A new destination. A new hope. But also, new danger. Inside the broken space station, the air was cold and dry. Leo sat beside the control panel, his hands black with oil. Tira stood close, holding the pendant that showed a glowing map. A safe contact, a name, a place, and a symbol of loyalty. There was still hope. "Where is it?" Leo asked. Tira pointed to a star near the edge of the map. "The planet is called Thalara. One of my mother's oldest friends lives there. She was a palace advisor, until the betrayal." Leo nodded. "If she's still loyal, she might help us." He worked fast. In just a few hours, he repaired the shuttle's engine. It wasn't perfect, but it would fly. As they prepared to leave, Leo felt something strange. A deep sense that things were about to change, again. Once they launched, the journey to Thalara took 2 days. The ride was rough. The ship made strange sounds and the food was low, but Tira didn't complain. She stayed calm, learning the ship controls, watching the stars. When Thalara finally came into view, it looked peaceful, a green world, surrounded by rings of dust and clouds. As they landed near a quiet village, Leo kept the ship hidden behind hills. Together they walked toward an old building shaped like a tower. It looked like a library, with large silver doors, and a symbol of the Valari crest above them. The doors opened before they could knock. A tall woman with silver hair stood inside. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at Tira. "My princess," she whispered. Tira ran to her. The woman hugged her tightly. Leo stood back, unsure. Later they sat inside the quiet stone room. The woman introduced herself as Lady Yelna. "We feared you were lost," she said. "Many of us went into hiding after the palace fell. The traitor controls everything now. He lies to the people, says the royal line is gone. But I'm here," Tira said. "I want to show them." Yelna looked worried. "You are brave, child. But it's not so simple. The traitor controls the army, the palace, the media. If you show yourself, they will come for you again." Leo crossed his arms. "Then we make them listen. Somehow." Yelna smiled slightly. "You speak like a soldier." "I'm just a mechanic," Leo replied, "but I know when something's wrong." Yelna walked to a hidden wall and touched a panel. A screen appeared, showing a map of the capital city. Secret allies were marked. In red. "There are still those who believe in the royal family," she said. "If we give them proof, show them Tira is alive, maybe they will rise." "We'll need a plan," Leo said. Yelna nodded. "Yes, a message. One that can't be blocked or twisted." They prepared a recording. Tira stood in front of the camera wearing a small crown Yelna had kept hidden all these years. Her voice was steady as she spoke to her people. "I am Princess Tira of Valaria. I escaped the fall of the palace. I am alive. I ask my people to stand together again." The message was sent across deep space, using secret networks. It reached ships, villages, and cities far and wide. Then, silence. No one replied. But something had changed. That night, Leo stood by the window looking at the stars. "What if they don't believe it?" he asked. "They will," Tira said softly behind him. "They have to." And far away, in the capital palace, the traitor saw the message. His hands tightened and he whispered, "Find her now." The next day, the skies above Thalara were no longer quiet. Ships flew low across the sky, and the ground shook as soldiers landed near the village. The traitor's forces had followed the signal. The message Tira sent had reached the people, and it had reached her enemies too. Inside the stone tower, Leo checked his blaster. He looked out the window and saw black armored troops spreading through the valley. "They found us," he said. Tira stood beside him, calm but serious. "We can't run this time." Lady Yelna stepped forward. "We have only one chance. You must reach the central comm tower in the capital. If Tira speaks live in front of the people, no one can block it. No one can lie anymore." Leo nodded. "Then we'll get her there." They escaped through a hidden tunnel beneath the tower. Outside, an old transport bike waited. Yelna gave Leo a chip. "This will open the capital gates. There are still loyal guards there." Leo and Tira climbed onto the bike and sped toward the city. The road was dangerous. Patrol drones flew overhead. Blockades appeared on the roads. But Leo used every trick he knew. He drove through alleyways, blasted open, blocked paths, and never slowed down. Tira held tight, her eyes focused. When they reached the capital wall, guards stopped them. Leo showed the chip. The guards looked at Tira, then stepped aside. "The people have seen the message," one guard said. "They are waiting." Inside the city, crowds were already gathering. People whispered, pointed, and followed them toward the tower. News had spread fast. Hope had returned. They reached the main stage of the communication tower. The screens were ready. The cameras pointed at the center. But then, a loud explosion shook the building. The traitor had arrived. A sleek black ship landed outside. From it stepped a tall figure in dark robes, eyes cold, face sharp. Soldiers followed him. He entered the hall and saw her. "So the child lives," he said slowly. "Leave now, human. This is not your fight." Leo stood in front of Tira. "You're Wrong it is, the traitor raised his weapon. But before he could fire, the crowd behind him shouted. More people entered the tower, miners, workers, soldiers in simple clothes. Many had seen the message, many had believed. You lost them, Tira said, stepping forward. Your lies are finished. The traitor's soldiers hesitated. Some dropped their weapons, some turned away. Then, the main screen lit up. Tira's face appeared across the entire capital. Her voice echoed through the streets. I am Tira of Valaria. I claim my right, not with power but with truth. Stand with me and we can rebuild what was broken. The people cheered, loud and clear. The traitor knew it was over. He was taken away by the same guards who once served him. Later, in the grand hall of the old palace, Tira was crowned queen. Her people celebrated for days. Leo stood at the edge of the hall, wearing his old mechanic's jacket. He watched quietly. Tira walked up to him, smiling. You never left me. Not once. Leo nodded. You didn't give me a reason to. She took his hand. I want you to stay. I need someone I can trust. Leo looked around at the shining hall and smiling faces. Then he smiled too. All right, Your Majesty. I'll stay. But only because you asked nicely. Tira laughed. The stars outside the palace windows looked brighter that night, and so a quiet human from a mining moon became the protector of a queen, not by duty, but by choice, and by the promise he made, to protect a little girl who once sat quietly in his workshop.